Eric, what's going on, man?
Hey, we
How you
are
doing?
here. I'm good, man. It's Monday, June 6th, right around Bobby Kennedy's death.
Yeah, he actually, I think, passed today in 1968. He was shot yesterday, June 5th, and then survived, I think, almost another 24 hours or something. I think he passed today.
Yep.
So it's been a few weeks since we've done a stream for a few reasons. You know, you've been traveling to various places, and sadly, we've had a few deaths that were close friends' parents passed away, sadly, and that's been something that we've been kind of dealing with. So, but honestly, we love podcasting and streaming, so it feels good to be back. But boy, there's a lot going on in the world, that's for sure. It's like, what do you talk about? I mean, it's obviously
we got to start with Amber Heard shitting.
Yeah, we should have just named this the corn and Amber Heard's poop.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Amber Heard pooped at Bilderberg Group. That would be a good way to.
Yeah, well, there's an Amber Heard poop challenge. Whoever can correctly guess how many corns are in Amber Heard's poop wins a free car from Mr. Beast. You know that YouTube channel that just gives shit away. It's like the most popular YouTube channel, Mr. Beast.
Never heard of it.
I don't know. We
should partner with them.
Yeah, we should. What's up, P1 Dizzy? How you doing, man? Lady, gal. Oh, Hartford Whalers. That sounds like poopsies.
Speaking of poop, H-Poc.
Hey, poopsie.
Hey, poopsie. Yeah, man. Just got back from Texas. Well, we'll wait till Reed. Reed Coverdale, my fellow Four Horsemen, is going to join us probably like 9 o'clock, right around 9 o'clock Eastern time. We just went to Texas to a Ron Paul Liberty Conference. I think probably attended by 400 or 500 people, was put on by the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity, hosted by Daniel McAdams, and Scott Ritter spoke, and Lou Rockwell and Ron Paul, and there was another speaker. I forget who it was, but man, what a trip that was. So yeah, when Reed comes on, we'll catch up on that. But yeah, Mike, what were the kind of the immediate pressing things we need to talk about?
Well, besides Amber Heard's bathroom habits. And what happened, Your Honor, was I had 17,000 thread count that Jerry Bruckheimer had gifted me on the set of At World's End. But now they're talking to Johnny Depp's going to come back for the new Pirates of the Caribbean. They're saying it's likely. So during the lawsuit, he lost everything. He wasn't allowed to spend $40,000 a month on wine anymore. Amber couldn't wipe her butt with 17,000 thread count. Dude, he won the lawsuit. He's on stage with Jeff Beck. He's having a blast. I bet they would get Keith Richards to come back, and they could CGI airbrush his fucking, the track marks and the age, and get him to come back on the ship, and they could turn the thing into another billion, dude, and then open up another theme park down in Disney and have a bunch of trannies dancing around with their ass hanging around, and have the kids from It's a Small World after all throwing money at them.
Oh my God, there's so much to unpack there, dude. Holy shit. Yeah. Primetime 99 Alex Stein. He is putting all those fucking people on blast down there, dude. So if you're one of these fucking groups or clubs and you're thinking about having 9-year-olds at your little get-togethers and having them throw money at you, Primetime 99 might be waiting for you in the shadows.
Yeah. He's like, you're not being inclusive. You're not letting me in. You're not going to these people aren't letting me in. Dude, you saw the video, right? Like,
he's everything. Yeah, Johnny Depp. What?
I was going to say, people are free to express themselves and declare any gender orientation. It's not about that, man. But when you got fucking little kids in the video there inside of a club that's or a bar where it's like 21 plus usually, and they're doing that, man. Something's going on. That's not normal.
It's part of some kind of reptilian agenda, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Yeah.
We got on track there. Johnny Depp. So he declared victory. He got some pooper scoopers and some cat litter, and they threw it at Amber Heard.
Flung it at her. Your Honor, I have damages, so I can purchase a new litter box.
Good God! And he went out to some nice Indian restaurant and dropped like $50,000. It said, with Jeff Beck and his crew. The guy closed the restaurant down. I think it was probably Johnny Depp and like 20 in his entourage, and he just hung out And then there was a period of time where Johnny wanted to get away from everybody, so he went into the owner, the manager's office with the CCTV, and he just wanted to people watch people on the CCTV with the owner. And the guy said that was surreal to sit there with Captain Jack Sparrow and people watch on CCTV in his restaurant. That'd be a pretty surreal moment.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to do basically what billions of people around the world have been doing the last couple months, which is watch him. You know, I submit to you, he gave the performance of his entire career. You know, this is the comeback performance, I think, in a lot of ways. You know, he's like, yes, Your Honor. Yeah, it's
incredible.
It's like freak circus, dude. Like between that and all the mass shootings and all the friggin', you know, shit that's going on with inflation and gas being over $5 a gallon, it's like, how far are they going to push this thing, man? Where is this all leading to? You know,
well, the next Pirates of the Caribbean, where he fights a big turd monster out in the Black Sea, and then you know, before you know it, Keira Knightley pops out covered in Amber Heard shit. You know,
I was gonna say Orlando, he blooms out. Yeah, Orlando blooms out.
Turd blossom, Orlando turd bloom.
Dude, I watched the first 3 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I got to say that the third one they just released, it sucked. It was so bad, dude. Not to spoil too much, but this was the big reunion that everyone's been waiting for since Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
it is dog shit. I'd rather see Amber Heard poop on Johnny Depp's bed.
Oh, really? Is that bad?
It was pretty bad. Yeah,
Was it really cheesy?
It was cheesy. It didn't make any sense plot wise. Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah, because I thought when you see them in A New Hope, that's the first time they saw each other since Obi-Wan rendered Anakin into a sack of potatoes there in the lava pit.
I have the high ground. Don't do it, Anakin. He's like, you underestimate my power. And then he flips and he becomes a bag of Idaho. Yeah. He delimbs. I think he cuts both his legs and one of his arms off.
And an arm off. Yeah, he fucking turns him into Max Cleland. You know, basically.
Didn't he pass?
Max Cleland? Rest in peace, Max Cleland.
Rest in peace.
One of the only guys who was part of that 9/11 bullshit cover-up who had a fucking soul and he resigned from the commission.
Yeah, Cleveland was saying in like 2004 or late 2003 when that shit was happening that you know, the White House was completely stalling on documents and they weren't letting them have access to, you know, anything. And, you know, Bush and Cheney had to get their story straight, and they testified together behind closed doors without a record of it being ever released to the public. That's, you know, speaking of documents we'd like to see, I'd like to see the minutes of Dick Cheney and George W. Bush's testimony to the 9/11 Commission. You know, what was, imagine what that freak circus looked like.
We have more insight into Amber Heard's fecal patterns than we do the 9/11 Commission. You know?
We'd be doing it certainly more important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what happened was Amber Heard pooped and then she wiped her ass with the documents.
Yeah.
So we're not able to see.
Yeah, we have stool samples from the Johnny Depp trial, but we're missing JFK's brain still to this day. More people know about the stool sample from the Johnny Depp trial than they do about the about the. But I don't think Johnny Depp made it to Bilderberg this year. But there were some interesting people. Of course, the Grand Poobah himself, Henry Kissinger, 99 years old, seen sliming around the hotel down in D.C. right near the Jefferson Monument, and man, what compels you when you're 99? Like being able to have a bowel movement on your own, being able to see, you know, children suffer in a brown country. Like, well, what is it that like gets him out of bed every morning?
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's just he's a slug.
It's a really bizarre turn of events when you find yourself agreeing with Kissinger's latest public proclamation that Ukraine needs to just come to a
throw in the towel.
Yeah, they need to negotiate. They're going to have to eventually negotiate. There's no other way the war is going to end over there, because you're delusional if you think that it's going to be won by the United States taxpayers giving Raytheon billions of dollars to send armaments to kill people. That's not going to win it.
Yeah, it's just a money laundering operation. Final thoughts on Johnny Depp. He did really well, Mike. He came out the winner. The winner takes it all, and it was kind of a hashtag believe all men at this point, or men too, you know?
Yeah, well, men can give birth, right? So, I mean, I think it's something like that.
So they can win domestic abuse cases now too.
Well, with all the abortion stuff that people have their hair on fire about, the Calvin Klein ad campaign had featured a pregnant man. So I would think now that men ovulate or have a uterus, can have a womb, all that, men can give birth. So I think the discussion is going to open up a lot more with the whole abortion thing, even if it does go back to the states, which essentially would be what would happen if Roe v. Wade was repealed, right? It would basically go back to the states. And it's already been, the last few years, it looks like they've made it a lot harder in a lot of states for women to have an abortion. So yeah, that's a sad state of affairs, that whole topic.
Well, Top Gun Maverick was fucking amazing. That
was not an abortion.
That was a military-industrial complex psyop that works for me. Find the one that works for you, Mike. It's the one that works for me.
Why did it work for you? What was it about it that really?
It just worked to me. That it worked for me. They did enough callbacks to the original that was good. Honor the original, but then it kind of did its own thing in some ways, and it was, visually just beautiful. Seeing those death machines with Miles Teller with his shirt off, and they were playing. Where were they playing volleyball?
Yeah, they're playing volleyball on the beach, dude. They had the
volleyball.
They had Lady Gaga dialed into the soundtrack.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise is what, 59?
Yeah, he's almost 60.
He's almost 60. He's still in amazing shape, running around, with 4-inch lifts. And it was a big win for Scientology overall. The whole thing was a massive win for Scientology, Mike.
I thought it was a great recruitment tool for LRH and for the Navy. The original back in '86, Navy recruiters would literally hang outside the movie theater trying to recruit people, and they did very well. And I'd be very interested to see what the Pentagon's recruitment numbers look like in the next, 4 to 6 months. I think you're going to see
the next quarter, see how the numbers do.
I think you'll see a spike, and I think it's interesting very early on in the movie when they bring in Ed Harris's skull. They just kind of had his skull like at a desk. He was angry. They just, they had him in like a 2-minute scene being pissed off at Tom Cruise as the ring. I think he was coming back as the character he played in The Rock. He actually survived. They didn't show what happened.
I was going to say they scraped him up from The Rock there in Alcatraz.
What happened was when he injected with the thing, he actually had Cipro that he took just before the missile went off. So he survived. He swam out from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood on that little dinghy, and they beat the shark that attacked the dinghy, and he survived and was in Top Gun Maverick.
Well, he linked up with the Sea Org.
Sea Org picked him up.
Sea Org picked him up and brought him on set for Top Gun 2 Maverick.
He had to scrub the deck of the Sea Org L. Ron Hubbard ship, the USS L. Ron Hubbard, with his tongue.
Oh.
And he got that role. But it was interesting at the beginning when they were really kind of saying, you're antiquated, you're done, you're being replaced by drone warfare. The way they just sneak shit like that in there, man, to make it.
They couch it running. It is perfectly fine to drone bomb children in Pakistan or far off countries, non-aligned terrorist states.
Well, the way the discussion is framed in the mainstream, in all the acceptable narratives, and especially in a film like Top Gun, is human. We're not going to have to sacrifice any men in those planes. It's like, well, why are we? The discussion is not. Why are we sending the men over there in the first place? That's not even the discussion that's had. It's just we have these death machines. We're going to send them over. We're going to drop bombs. We're going to rain hellfire, and it's going to be done, by a joystick by somebody in a fucking trailer out in Nevada, But it was interesting. In this Top Gun and the first one, the enemy was you never saw their face, and they were never actually identified. And I think the director did that to give it kind of a timeless feel. They didn't want to.
Well, a timeless feel. I don't want to piss off the Chinese when they're going to release the movie out in that market,
or inflame the Russian situation.
Yeah, the enemies can't be Russian or Chinese, and obviously they're not, a Middle Eastern enemy because they don't have, an air force to speak of like that.
Well, it could have been the Afghan Air Force with our planes. I was thinking, like, shit, man. Why don't we, dude?
The Taliban.
Is the Taliban selling arms to Ukraine? Because they should. They make a lot of money.
It's so. That's when I knew that General Milley was a dumb motherfucker. Okay, I wouldn't have left a plane, a boat, a jeep, a screw.
I would have left a screw. I would have fueled that thing up, and I would have driven it or flown it right to Pakistan. Okay, I would have brought it right to Pakistan. I would have left a screw.
Yeah, he's like, well, just fill it up with a little bit of gas. If you could afford the gas with Brandon's gas prices, put some gas in it and fly it to Pakistan. That was incredible when he said that, Mike. But I just, it just helped me believe again, Mike. It helped me believe again, Tom Cruise. And I think the most unbelievable part was that house that Jennifer Connelly owned on a bartender's salary. You know,
that's probably a money laundering front, like vis-a-vis Casablanca.
The car that she drove, and boy, she's timeless, though, huh? I mean, the Hollywood system, man, is you got to how many baby blood you got to do to look that good?
Well, it's Jennifer Connelly. She was really one of my first crushes growing up as a kid. Like watching her in Labyrinth when I was I was probably like 8 watching Labyrinth, and she was a teenager or however old she was. And yeah, well, it's interesting because Jennifer Connelly was in it, and she's of course younger than Tom Cruise, but she's less younger than who they typically cast to play a Tom Cruise girlfriend or a love interest. Like, she's like 50, he's like 59.
Right. It wasn't your typical where they had Clint Eastwood as the lead at 91 and then 11 as the love interest,
Yeah, his Cry Macho movie that he did, man, that was a little like, oh, what the hell is this, man? It's like Weekend at Bernie's when he was dancing with the girl in the bar, it's like, but no, because Kelly McGillis, who was in the first one, who played the beautiful blonde instructor that Tom Cruise falls for, had complained a couple of years ago that she wasn't cast in the new one. And so she was talking about, sexism and ageism in Hollywood or whatever. And she obviously has a point there, but it's also like, well, look as good as Tom Cruise at 59. You try, I submit that to anybody.
That's the moral of the story. You need to stay in shape like Tom Cruise.
And with the success of this, I'm hoping they bankroll the Eyes Wide Shut sequel. Eyes wide open.
Eyes wide open, folks. Yeah, God, that would be something. Find out what happened with him and Kidman in their marriage, and then it will come to light about Nicole Kidman's father, Anthony Kidman, how he was a high priest of MK Ultra in Australia.
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to do what they did with Peter Cushing in Rogue One. They're going to do a CGI version of Anthony Kidman. They're going to have him fly back from Australia. He survives the COVID lockdowns and then comes back, and he's in the movie.
Couple of Filipino ladyboys in the back who their age is ambiguous.
Yeah.
He hides one of them C-3PO or R2-D2.
Yeah, he has them serving drink on Jabba's ship.
Good.
They're going to shoehorn that into the Book of Boba Fett, which that season there, Book of Boba Fett, kind of sucked too overall. Other than the episodes where they had the Mandalorian show up.
Yeah, and Danny Trejo shows up too, right?
Trejo was pretty good. Yeah, he shows up.
He comes out from the cartel and ends up in Star Wars,
Yeah, well, they took his head off the turtle in Breaking Bad, and they just superimposed it onto a junk trader on Tatooine. All they're doing is just borrowing from this. Tony was like, it's just 20 actors. It's like 20 dudes that you see over 20 years. They're in everything. It's like we got a couple of hellos here. Adam Fitzgerald is in the.
Yeah, I'll pop up some stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, P1 Dizzy sending us some love. Ryan gave you a nice shout out, P1 Dizzy, at the new Mech screening in Houston. She's just a tremendous supporter of the Four Horsemen, of the ANC Report, the Naturalist Capitalist, Jackman Radio, this whole syndicate that we have going, quite frankly, this criminal mafia syndicate that we have. Unbelievable, almost as gangster as the criminals who stole the nuclear secrets to create Israel's nuclear plan, quite frankly. Gentlemen, indeed. Poopsie though, Mike. H. Poop.
Hey, Poopsies.
Yeah. Hey, Poopsie.
Keeping the dream alive for the Whalers.
Yep, they're coming back with Kevin Deneen.
With the Beatles, yeah, they're going to come back with the Beatles. Let me see if I can turn my gain down. Sorry, guys, if I'm a little echoey. Please let us know how we're sounding. Hopefully that's better.
Good evening, Jackman Brothers. Good to see you back doing live video again. Yeah, we were off for a little bit of a break. We got Mitchell Blasker. Yeah, that's pretty good spelling out of it.
It's like a new language.
I
like that.
Pirates of the Cornhole Being.
Nice.
And then Adam makes the point, evil tends to live long. Boy, does it ever.
Oh, yeah, about Henry Kissinger. Yeah, I like the tagline, evil never dies.
Yeah, scum, man. They don't. They
should put Kissinger in the next Halloween film because he killed way more people than Michael Myers.
Yeah. And don't be shy with the super chats, guys. We're on the bread line here. This is like bread line, Soviet era soup lines is what we are.
Yeah, we only got 1 billion of the 40 that was sent. They only gave us 1 billion of that. So we're doing our best here in New Hampshire.
Hello from Castro Trudeau, Canada.
Hey, Tyler.
Giddy up. Love you guys. I love you too.
I love you, P1.
Late, how are
Hey,
you?
the more mon.
The Demogorgon.
Nice.
Boy, we love Jackman. We love Jackman.
Thanks, Denmark. Yeah, I started watching. I think it's called Under the Banner of Heaven, about it's a true story about a double murder that took place in the Mormon community. I believe it was out in Utah, and they got Andrew Garfield, who was the mid-range Spider-Man, to play this young Mormon detective who comes in and interrogates the main suspect. And it's got a little bit of a True Detective vibe, but I don't know. I'm only a couple episodes in. It drags a little, but I think I might hang with it. I might try and hang with it.
You're not sure if you believe it or not?
Well, I haven't seen any magic underwear or any of the anal rings that, what was it, Joseph Smith or whatever his name is?
Yeah, Joseph Smith. Joseph
Smith allegedly found like a cache of like anal rings or something, or anal beads, and then
found a bunch of butt plugs in some hill, buried in some hill.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But we lost another Titan, Ray Liotta, man. Rest in peace. One of the finest to come from New Jersey. And I revisit.
You what?
I revisited Goodfellas and Identity. Obviously, Goodfellas was around just after Field of Dreams, so that one, and then I think it was Something Wild, directed by I forget what director, but I think Something Wild was his first big role. Him and Jeff Daniels and Melanie Griffith, I think, and then he did Field of Dreams, which actually I read an interview Liotta did. He never watched Field of Dreams. He never actually saw it. Because when he went to the premiere to see it in the theater, I guess his mother was sick and dying, and I think she passed during that time, so he had to leave the screening of it, and he just associated it with that event. He never watched it, and he doesn't like to. It sounded like he was one of those artists that didn't like to watch or listen to a lot of their own stuff. You hear that a lot of the time from musicians after they've produced a song, or actors or directors who. After they've kind of, been working on it for a number of years, and they've already had to see the rough cut or whatever, they move on. They've never watched it. But I revisited Goodfellas, and then Identity, a film he did in 2003 with John Cusack, where he just kind of played a detective, but there's something more going on under the surface. And then, of course, his turn as Krenler, Agent Paul Krenler in Hannibal is one of his best. So. Yeah, Liotta, when he's talking to Verger, he's like, so how much is it going to be? He's like, 5. 5? Why don't you say it like toss it out there like it's 5? Why don't you say it, but give it the respect it deserves? $500,000. That's better, but not much. I mean, that scene, dude, it's essential. And then the scene of Anthony Hopkins feeding him his own brain. Which was spoofed brilliantly in, I think, Scary Movie 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. Speaking of dark and True Detective, lots of interesting stuff coming out of Utah right now, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. That's
that real True Detective. That ring that goes back 15, 30 years with over a dozen, families and people connected to it, supposedly. This is mainstream news stuff. This is, what is it, Eric? A local Fox affiliate, or what was the was the deal on this story?
Yeah, it's Utah historic child abuse and a child trafficking ring in 3 different counties, going back 1990 to 2010, and the sheriff out there has the case going, and has had a press conference. And he's basically, I think, a county attorney is being accused, or I don't know if he said him by name, about being tied to this group that murdered children, and there's charges of cannibalism, and it's straight out of True Detective.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me a lot of the Franklin scandal, of course, which is referenced in True Detective season 3, and clearly, Pozzaluto, or whatever his name is, Nick Pozzaluto, who wrote it and created it, did a lot of research into that. It's supposedly in this document. I don't think the whole report was released, but I think it's like 130 or 200 pages or something like that. This state official is mentioned in that, and then, they talk about things like cannibalism and child abuse. So
Levitt is his name.
Levitt?
Levitt's his last name, yeah.
And he's beefing with the sheriff, right?
He's a county attorney, and he's beefing with the sheriff.
And he called for the sheriff to resign. The sheriff said he's not resigning.
Right.
So, and what's the part of this story, Eric, where somebody fled and faked their own death and went to Europe? What's the connection there that you read about?
I'm a veteran.
I'm a veteran.
Oh God, we got Reed Coverdale.
You got the naturalist capitalist in the house. I'm driving home and I didn't want to miss the whole thing. So when I get back, I'll get on my computer. But I figured you could have me in the based Dawson cap for now. So
yeah, see the gear that he's wearing, Mike?
Oh yeah. Well, nice, because I saw Ryan wearing your naturalist capitalist sweatshirt, and you're wearing an ANC hat. We got to get some swag up here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, we did some wife swapping while we were out there.
You guys like the unit, Dawson?
Dude.
Yeah, with the aviators with the hoodie.
Yeah, that's everything.
I took that picture, dude. I was just saying, Reed. There was a lot of great Four Horsemen, fans out there in Texas.
Dude, we were a big part of that event. I'd say
we were given a rock star's welcome.
Yeah, we really were.
I heard you had a lot of Liberty boys buying you guys drinks. I heard.
Dude, when the funniest thing was, every time you address Daniel McAdams, co-host on the Ron Paul Liberty Report and executive director of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity, you have to call him Daniel McAdams, co-host on the Ron Paul Liberty Report and executive director of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity. And then on the flyer, that's what it said right at the top. It said, Daniel McAdams, co-host on the Ron Paul Liberty Report, executive director of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity. I'm getting pretty good at saying it really fast.
Yeah, you're getting it down, man. You got a future in announcing ahead of you.
It's a good flow, yeah. It looks like we got a super chat from Adam Fitzgerald on a topic that you and Vince touched on in one of your recent streams when you talked about the papayas on the gun issue. And this is what Adam said. And thank you, Adam, for the super chat. He said, I'd like to get your thoughts on the recent spike of mass shootings lately. With the debate of the gun issue from political affiliates on both sides, the issue of mental health goes ignored. I think that's an interesting point to look at. And I actually just watched a really emotional and touching TED Talk, believe it or not. And I'm not joking. I know we riff on the TED Talks, but the name of the talk is I Was Almost a School Shooter. And it's this guy who is now in his 40s. And back in the mid-90s, he came from a very neglectful household, alcoholic parents. His father left. His mother was just abusive to him, treated him horribly, told him he wasn't worth anything. He was bullied at school. He just got to a point where he was suicidal. He was cutting himself. He really didn't feel like he had any sense of self-worth. And he said what saved him was a gesture from, who he thought was his very last friend, because he stole from his friends. He burned every bridge that he had. And he was staying with this one friend in basically a rundown shack on his property. And the friend just kind of came out to check on him and say, hey, man, I can tell you're not doing well, man. Do you want to come in and get some food and just hang out? We can watch your favorite movie or something. And he basically said, in a nutshell, that simple gesture of humanity, caused him to go and get the help that he needed. And because he'd either already purchased a gun or he was going to get a gun from, a gang that was hanging out near the school that he knew that had guns. And he decided not to do it, and he got help. And today he's gone through therapy. He's recovered, got the help that he needed. And he's got kids of his own and a wife, and he's still friends with the guy that basically saved his life. So I think that's one story that should be heard in the whole dialogue about school shootings, about how one way that they can be prevented. And there's a multitude of ways, of course, but I think that's an important part of the discussion.
Yeah, Ron, in his speech, he actually, I don't think he talked about school shootings at all, but he did bring up the idea that we're just becoming a morally deficient society. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this drag your kids to, what was it? Drag your kids to Queer Day, or drag your kids to, I forget what it was called, but it was like bringing children to a drag show where they were like stuffing dollar bills in the underwear of these drag queens and shit. It's fucking vile, but there's that type of stuff going on. There's tons of families that don't have fathers because they leave, or they're deadbeats, or they get killed in gang violence or whatever. And you got all these systems that we have set up that they do one of two things. They either punish you, like the war on drugs, so you get thrown in prison, and then you get a record, and you can never get a job, and you can never get ahead. And so that ruins fathers who can't, take care of their kids anymore. They're either forced into drug dealing or running guns or something illegal, or they just can't get a job legally anymore. And then the other thing is, this happens early in school. If you're a special ed kid, instead of being treated like a normal person who's just not quite as fast as everyone else, they try to put you on medications, and then they just start treating you differently. Like, I'm a bit Darwinistic. I think we need to go back to where we treat everybody the same, more or less. Like, obviously, some people are going to have a little bit harder time learning, and if they need a little extra help, whatever, but they shouldn't be catered to or treated like they're, subhuman or something. Like, when you treat people who have a hard time the same as everyone else, or if you even tell them, hey, if you're going to make it in this world, you've got to actually work harder, you're doing them a service for when they're older, like treating them like they're just retards or whatever, and not giving them, any chance to be treated like a normal person and have to, contribute in the real world. I think that's really done a disservice. So I think there's so many faceted layers to this. And, what a lot of leftists will say is, oh, yeah, you say you care about mental health, but you don't want to increase government funding for it. Well, all these like government-run schools, government-run programs, I don't think they do increase the mental health of people. I think they do the opposite. Every time some program is given more money, all it's designed to do is enrich itself, and that's how our entire system is designed. Like, none of this is to cure you or heal you. It's to get you addicted or get you on a prescription and just turn you into a money-making machine. And I don't know, it's screwed up. Like, we need community again. We need family. We need people who are, deep moral character and care about each other. And I don't know. There's not like a real easy cut and dry answer to how do we get off of this,
Yeah, no, I remember you're right about all that, Reed. And I remember hearing Ron say that in his speech, that just overall caring for one another and being neighborly and kind and having empathy and looking out for one another. And I think the media more wants us to have us believe that's fallen more by the wayside than it actually has. Because, I'm still pretty optimistic that people are actually good at their core. And you can always pull from examples, whether you run out of gas one time or you got stuck on the side of the road here in New Hampshire and someone drove by and they helped you get out, or they called for a tow truck or something to help you with. But it is easy to get down. I mean, because we all are doom scrollers, and we just have that going on 24/7, and we're in that loop. And it certainly kind of leads to an environment where there is despair and hopelessness, and you lose your faith in humanity. But after the weekend we had there, man, in Texas, I had a lot of my faith restored, knowing that there's still a lot of people out there who do care and do think about this stuff and do talk to their neighbors and their friends and their family about it. And that's what can lead individuals away from isolation if they have problems and they are down in the dumps and they're thinking about doing something horrific, like going into public and committing a mass shooting. So That certainly needs to be part of the conversation. And the family, the foundation of civilized society is the family unit, and not having a mother and a father is horrible. And I know not everyone is fortunate and lucky enough to have that. Mike and I were so lucky and blessed that we had that. We had a stable household. We had both our parents, and they were both involved and invested and cared about us. And I know not everybody gets that, but it is, it really is all connected, and every little bit plays a role in what can ultimately lead to you being a well-adjusted, normal person, or someone who feels like an outcast who would get a gun and go do something like that. So.
Well, Eric, I'll also say that the young people really seem to care about freedom and liberty. And they're throwing the ways of their parents aside and realizing that we need freedom, and people need to be able to choose. And if they want to be gay, be gay. And if you want to use gold, buy gold. And we need a humble foreign policy. But I really have faith in the young people that they're going to start turning the ship around.
Exactly. I believe in the young people. And absolutely, Reed, if you're at Pride Week and you want to fashion a dildo out of gold and sit on it, you have every right to do it as long as you're adult age and everyone's consenting. Freedom.
He's the best. He's incredible. I know. I got to, I've always thought it would be cool to be around famous people when they meet each other, and I was there for the Dawson Paul crossover. I was there to witness it. We all were, and we saw Dawson showing Dr. Paul the Biden crime syndicate map. That was something else, man.
That was incredible. Yeah, Dawson's like, check this out, Dr. Paul, and Ron Paul's like, oh, they're nice people. They seem like nice people,
Yeah. Dude, hearing Daniel McAdams give Ron Paul a shout out though from the stage.
Oh, giving Dawson a shout out.
Giving Dawson a shout out. Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Dawson's like, I wanted to bring formula from a first world country into a third world country.
Yeah.
It's incredi-based, Mike,
It really is incredi-based. Like that, dude. We walk into the bar and Scott Ritter and Dawson are sitting at a table talking foreign policy, and it's just like, what?
That was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing, yeah.
Scott Ritter had a pretty kind of more of a different posturing than the mainstream narrative on the whole Russia deal, didn't he? It sounds like.
Yeah, and China. So we get Tucker Carlson. He'll have a pretty good opinion on Ukraine. But then once he starts talking about China, he's just out to lunch. But Scott Ritter, he gave a fire speech for like 20 minutes about Ukraine and how we cannot win a European land war against Russia. And then the second half of his speech, it was all about Taiwan and China and how we cannot win a war against China, and Taiwan is none of our business. And it was boost for sure. So.
Yeah, there were high levels of base in that crowd. And all kinds of good Liberty boys.
I was saying to Eric Reed, I was saying that you guys down there in Texas was the opposite of the Bilderberg meeting that happened over the same weekend. And this was the 68th Bilderberg meeting. It took place from June 2nd, and it ended yesterday on Sunday in Washington, D.C. And some of the key topics that they discussed this year, of course, were geopolitical realignments, NATO challenges, China, Russia, disinformation, Ukraine, post-pandemic health, trade and deglobalization, tech competition, energy security and sustainability. So they talked about all these things, and it's interesting because you had people in that room, like we talked about earlier, Henry Kissinger, who's a complete ghoul, total insider, been wreaking death and destruction around the globe for the better part of 6 decades. And you had people like Peter Thiel, you had people from big tech, people from Facebook, you had the head of Pfizer in the room. You had all these people who make all these decisions that impact people all around the world. And the only mainstream media source that covered it was The Guardian. And they did a pretty good write-up about that. Do you have that one pulled up there, the Guardian article?
I haven't read it, but it sounds like pretty much the opposite of what was going on at the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity. So.
Yeah, they didn't even announce that they were having Bilderberg this year or where it was going to be until I think Friday or Saturday. And Luke Rudelsky and another independent journalist made their way down there.
A few instances where I would approve of a drone strike that wasn't authorized by congressional oversight. So.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that, and then the time machine scenario, Reed, where we go back in time in the DeLorean with Dr. Paul and we drone strike Jekyll Island.
He's just like, well, great Scott, we're at Jekyll Island. We're going to bomb the shit out of this place.
I think this is a good time to violate the nap and save humanity. It's happening.
Yeah,
you know?
He's like, how will we build the roads where we're going? We don't need roads.
That's a common refrain you hear from people who hate libertarians. They're like, oh, you're a libertarian and you don't like taxes? You like that road you're driving on?
Yeah, muy roads.
You know, that whole fucking tired thing that you hear from people who have limited brain capacity.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm a truck driver. I sort of know a thing or two about roads, so...
Yeah, Liberty's truck driver. Not retired, but would you call yourself semi-retired right now, Reed?
I'm semi-retired. I am an unemployed man at the moment, so it is true. I've had the most amazing 2 weeks of my life. We went and reset in Reno, kicked out all the bitch fuck cucks, got the base people running the party again, and then did a road trip with Vince through the Redwoods, and then went and hung out with Dr. Paul and Daniel McBased and Eric and Ryan, so it was pretty good.
Yeah. How was it out there in Vegas with Dave Smith and the gang? What was that like? It seemed like I watched a couple of the streams. It seemed pretty electric, man. Is that Ron Paul Revolution energy coming back?
Oh yeah, it was. Well, the first day was gay as hell. It was like we didn't do anything. We voted on voting to vote on whether or not we could vote. It was like it was stupid. It was all procedural bullshit. But then day 2, we started having the big elections, and day 3, we just did a clean sweep of everybody, and all the right people were freaking out, like, I'm going to go join the Green Party. It's like, okay, goodbye. We don't want you anyways. So it was a good deal. It was a good show. So.
Well, we understand that Jill Stein likes environment, and she's not a Russian asset, but I hear she likes environment.
I don't know.
I know she likes environment, but I don't think she likes Russians.
I don't know a lot about her, but I know she likes environment, and she's base plant lady.
Tulsi Gabbard is a weapon of Russia.
I don't know her. And then we were out there while Tulsi was speaking at the Western Conservative Summit, which was our oxygen for.
Oh, dude, I am loving the current grift. I love it. Like, some people are. Like, I mean, I've noticed she's, like, flip-flopped on a lot, but I don't care. I love it. It's just, like, I'm here for all of it. So. And
DeSantis won the straw poll at that. And Sarah B.
Yeah, he beat the king?
Yeah, he beat the king in the straw poll at the...
Dude! I don't give a fuck about this Republican primary because, like, there's no one I really support, but I do support DeSantis versus Trump. That is one thing I support. I want to see that happen.
That's Godzilla versus King Kong, dude.
Dude, that's an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. I just don't want to see it so bad. Like,
it's going to be everything, dude. And Pence will be there in the wings praying the gay away, with Mother.
Dude, it'll be incredible.
It'll be everything. Reed's like, it's everything.
That's horrific. It's like Norman Bates.
When you're like us, you're past the point of really giving a shit and just, like, being like, I want to sit back and watch the fireworks, and
exactly.
that is a fireworks show. Trump versus DeSantis. Oh man,
yeah. That's going to be oxygen. Yeah, Joshua says support Republican chaos,
and then Tulsi's going to be there like, I would like to be the vice president for either of these fine gentlemen. So.
Dude, it's going to be oxygen. Yeah, we'll see who ends up on there. I definitely see obviously DeSantis and the King. Nikki Haley, Ghoul Cotton, Mike Pompeo, Josh Hawley, stop the steal,
Yeah.
And all these fucking ghouls and mutants rode on the King's coattails, and now the knives are going to come out, and they're all going to turn their back on him.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. It's going to be incredible.
But what will be amazing is if he does capture the nomination again, Eric, too, ultimately.
Dude, I hope he, like, beats DeSantis like a rag doll like he did with fucking Ted Cruz. Like, You know, I can see, because like DeSantis would be able to push back on him. Like Trump would be like, "You're fat, you're stupid," you know, whatever, and he'll just be like, "President Trump, I didn't push the vaccines on everyone like you did," and he'd be like, "You know what? You're an idiot," and he'd be like, "You might say that, but I actually kept the state of Florida free," and he'd be like, "Shut up, stupid idiot!" Like, it just. I don't know. I would love it, dude.
Yeah, DeSantis would be able to offer back some legit pushback against the king, but don't count the emir out, man. He's a fucking gladiator, dude, in these situations, and he'll go Genghis Khan, dude. When you think he's gone the lowest of the low, dude, he's got more to go, Mike. Right?
He's got a thick cake too.
He does have a thick cake.
And his cake will be even thicker this time around, and he'll be even more unhinged. You know, he's going to be more meta this time, dude. He's going to be more evil. I'm telling you, this is my prediction. Before we even knew what Dark MAGA was, I predicted that you're going to see Wes Craven's new nightmare version of the King.
Can you imagine how much China hawking there's going to be during that fucking primary?
Oh, it's going to be unbelievable. Look, I have my ties made in China, but if I have to, I'll nuke Beijing. Okay, I told Ping Pong I would nuke Beijing. Okay, I told Rocket Man I would nuke Pyongyang, and believe me, I told Putin I would strike Moscow. Okay, he would be bombed and hit in a way where he's never been bombed, like no one's ever seen. So I can't wait. We're like a year out, man, from the King's announcement. If we're going by 2015, he announced in June of 2015. So at this point, you know, June of 2023, it's a freaking year out, man. So they're revving it up, dude. And we need the entertainment, man. Because Brandon, even people who held their nose and voted for Brandon can't say that things are going great or that they're happy with it. You know, even your worst, you know, goose jacket wearing neo-lib can't sit there with a straight face and say that things are going well with Brandon.
Yeah. So, I mean, during the primary, who do you think is going to recommend making Washington, D.C. the capital of Israel first?
DeSantis. And then Trump would be like, "No, excuse me, I moved the embassy."
Pompeo, though. Was it Pompeo over there, Eric?
We're going to move the capital of D.C. to Israel so then they can attack it and they can storm the capital, but it'll be fine if Israel does it.
Well, they're not going to be able to storm the capital because we're going to move it. It's not going to be there anymore. They won't be able to attack it. We're going to move it. We're going to move it.
Dude, I think it would be nice to have base Trump if he's still upset at Netanyahu. Like, fuck him, you know.
Yeah, fucking asshole. He should. Biden won the election. What a loser.
He has the memory of a goldfish. He's probably already moved on past it and forgotten about it.
Yeah. Well, if someone brings him his sandwich, he'll remind him of it, and he'll be like, "Yes, you're right. Nuke them right now." So.
The great Dove Mike, you know, his head.
Yeah, I know. We need him. We need him.
People have died for his head.
Yeah, I said that to Reed, Mike. We were waiting in line to get into the conference. I was like, Reed, people woke up that morning on January 6th, and like, you know, they were going to do their thing and go about their day. They ended up losing their life because of his head.
Yeah, and they got caught up in the wake of the eye of the hurricane.
Yeah,
in his head.
His head.
Oh,
no,
man.
And more will die too. I was sick, man. Our society really is sick, dude, on so many levels. Like
Jesse Ventura wouldn't send more to die because he'd say, "I'm a veteran."
Why? I'm a Vietnam era veteran. Excuse me, Reed. I know what I'm talking about A to Z because I'm a veteran.
So, wait, Eric, did you hear that someone thought the body was in the bar?
Yes, Dawson came to me. He said, "Dude, someone said that Jesse Ventura was here, like for real." I was like, "What?" They probably overheard me saying some bullshit as Ventura. Me and Oliver Stone are Vietnam veteran.
I'm a veteran. Yeah.
I said, Reed, I can deliver a baby because I'm a veteran.
That ended up being the saying for the weekend. Like last time it was, what was the last time, Eric?
Goodbye.
Yeah. And this week it was,
I'm a veteran. And then in the morning, my Reed would he might get up and toss and turn in his bed a little bit, and he'd just look over and go, "I'm a veteran."
And
it's like gold.
We'd be like, "Oh, Vince, you went to bed like 30 minutes ago. Time to get up."
Yeah. Vince literally just flopped down, and I'd be like, "I'm a veteran."
I heard he was out partying late, drinking papaya juice.
Oh, dude, yeah, he papaya juice. Oh man, it's true.
Oh yeah, it was a vacation for Vince. It was his vacation.
Yeah, it was a Vince vacation. So.
I'm a veteran.
He's on Clubhouse now, Eric. Or no, Substack, right? The body?
Yeah, he's on Substack with Tyrell. It's called Quit and Then You Can Die or something.
Yeah. Die first and then quit.
Yeah, die first and you can quit.
Dude, can you imagine if we get Ventura on the Four Horsemen?
I can see it.
I'm
I'm free now to truly speak my mind. Vladimir Putin ain't cutting checks no more.
Dan McBase, he saw our picture on Facebook with Dr. Paul, and he said, the next Four Horsemen? And I replied, if the good doctor is willing. So,
I think I'll go on Four Horsemen. We'll talk about gold and precious metal.
Well, if Ron Paul was,
monetary policy.
if Ron Paul had won the election in 2008 or 12, he would have probably taken a horseback to the inauguration because it would have saved money. So
Yeah.
he would make sense on the Four Horsemen for sure.
Dude, I think we have a good chance of getting Dawson to repatriate to the States. He seems ready, he seems ready. But...
Yeah, he knows he's missing out there in Japan.
If we can get a studio space going, man, we're looking into that. To our audience out there, we're doing some preliminary. The next step is to get a studio space. So if you guys like what Jackman Radio does, Naturalist Capitalist, Four Horsemen, ANC Report, and you want to see us take it to the next level and actually get a studio space with lighting, equipment, sound, everything. We have a potential opportunity to do that. So keep that in mind for sure. If you like what we do,
Yeah, and Reed and Dawson and I were talking about creating a Four Horsemen specific Substack that you can monetize, and that I think that could go a long way. We could put clips on there and exclusive stuff, and you could get Reed and Dawson and I to show up dressed as the Ghostbusters at your daughter's quinceanera.
Dawson does bar mitzvahs too.
Yep, he'll do bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. He'll come dressed as Yasser Arafat to your daughter's bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I'm showing the new Mech documentary at a bat mitzvah later. It's going to go over really well.
Oh, my God.
I heard that screening, there was like 40 or 50 people that showed up for that screening?
Yeah, there were 30 probably.
30?
Probably over. Yeah, it was a good turnout. And like I said, Reed, there is nothing fun about it.
No. Yeah, it's all dark.
But it's all vital information, and after you learn about that stuff, there's no going back to Normiville when you learn about that. I don't want to give a lot of it away because Ryan's going to...
Yeah, he's worked hard on it. And didn't he say it's going to be available? Like on your stream, he mentioned it's going to be up in the next month or so?
No, the next...
Yeah, so Ryan is, he got held up. He's still in Texas, but he said when he gets back to Japan, he's going to upload it. So it'll be pretty soon, I'd say within a week or so. But
right, and it'll be available to rent and purchase, correct?
Yeah, so if you become a member on ANC Report, I forget what it is, but I'm the highest donating member, like that level or whatever. But you can do I think you can do 10 a month, 20 a month, or 50 or 100 or something. So I give 100 a month, and you get unlimited access to everything if you do that. But there's a bunch of ways you can support him, and also you can buy his merchandise, buy his maps, buy his clothing, whatever, his books. So,
dude, it was peak when I saw a ANC fan bring a bell and ask Dawson to autograph the bell for him.
Dude, that was pinnacle right there.
And Dawson's like, yeah, he told me I could inscribe it and write whatever I want, so I wrote "fuck Lincoln." Dude, he's so based.
Dude, he's Mondo.
It's just like,
dude, that was a room full of Mondo there. Remember, remember Lou Rockwell? He's giving his speech, and he's like, there is a ruler in Europe who's being surrounded by aggressive armies and being forced into, expanding his empire. And I'm not talking about Putin. I'm talking about Hitler in 1939. I was like, whoa, base.
That's how he opened things. Very light. Very light.
That was his hot take, huh? Yeah, he's going to get a lot of supporters with that one. Good God.
Base, so.
It's attention getting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Yeah, one of the things they discussed was they actually had part of the Ukraine delegation at Bilderberg over the weekend, and I think they're just trying to figure out how they can just keep bilking more tax dollars to keep the war going and see that there's more death and destruction, and that most people are confused and ill-informed on what's actually going on and what's coming out of that region. So, but it's funny, like Dawson says, that was like 4 things ago. But it's still going on. It's still important to talk about because just today I was walking around Peterborough and I saw a member of the resistance. They had a flag hanging from their building. They had a Ukrainian flag hanging, and I was like, we stand with Ukraine. Les résistants.
Well, I think it's an important, like with what Lou Rockwell was talking about. It's no condonance of whatever said dictator or country leader is doing. Like it doesn't mean that innocent people aren't dying or whatever, but you got to understand like how we get to the places we get to. Like I've always talked about how, or I haven't always, but I've recently talked about how we learn a lot from 1939 to 1945, but we don't learn shit about 1918 to 1939. Like those those were formative years that a lot of shit happened, a lot of craziness ensued, and people think like that can't happen here. But, we're kind of living in the Weimar Republic of the United States. We've got rampant inflation. Like we were discussing earlier, we've got extremely, low moral standards, the family units falling apart, the patriotism's at an all-time low. We've been embarrassed and lost in a bunch of wars recently. It's all, I don't know, like every individual is responsible for what they do. So Putin is to blame for invading Ukraine. Hitler was to blame for what he did, but you still have to look at like, okay, what are we doing that is encouraging this shit to happen? How can we stop it? Because it's not like a bunch of people in Germany just decided, oh, we hate the Jews and we want to invade the world. It didn't just like happen overnight. Like what drove them to that amount of craziness? Like what drives people in the Middle East to, strap a suicide vest on and go blow themselves up? They don't just decide to become extremists overnight. Like we have to do some self-reflection and wonder, why are people willing to do these horrific, awful, crazy things? And it's not something we've historically been good at, figuring out. So, well,
if you continuously bomb a region of the world or a country, those people the survivors are going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
The family who survives, who saw their entire house get destroyed and their loved ones killed senselessly, that's what creates an extremist. Someone who's got nothing to lose and nothing left in the world. So I don't know. I don't think we've learned that lesson. It doesn't seem like the last 20 plus years, since 9/11 that we've really learned that lesson by and large. So yeah, it's in a lot of ways it's not looking very promising. But I like that you guys said kind of the takeaway was Ron Paul is still hopeful. He still feels like there's hope.
Yeah.
Because of all the young people that are coming out for liberty.
Yeah, dude, it was so funny because we were saying that line all leading up to the event, and then he used it. He's like, well, the young people, they really care about freedom and liberty. So he always drives it home with that one,
Yeah.
He's crispy too, Reed. He's intact for 87.
I'm pretty sure he's 100 years younger than Biden.
Come on, man.
He looks it. Yeah, he looks way better.
Yeah.
I
think he might have had a couple talking points written down on his paper, but he was looking at the audience and
he freebased.
Oh yeah, he freebased for sure.
Yeah, he freebased from the spirits of the western sky of liberty, dude. Freedom. Yeah, it was inspiring, Mike. I mean, you've seen the speech before. The dude's been saying the same things for 60 years.
Yeah, since before we were born, way before we were born. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully Rand listens to it still. He doesn't just listen to, Lindsey Graham and Trump. Hopefully he still tunes into the Ron Paul Liberty Report hosted by former Texas Congressman Dr. Ron Paul of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity.
And
you'll hope that he listens
co-hosted
to
by
Daniel McAdams, executive director of the Ron Paul Liberty. I fucked it up. already. Daniel
Wait, did you
McAdams.
do the Jose line though?
You could say that we had sex, but we definitely didn't fuck.
Yeah, that's it.
So Four Horsemen's, the three of you guys are going on Tower Gang, and they've been, where were they banished to in the afterlife? Odyssey or Rumble or BitChute or?
Yeah, it's
where
on
are they?
Odyssey.
Okay, it's on Odyssey. So that's going to be something that people are going to want to turn into, man, if they want to really see some high levels of autism and some Liberty fireworks.
Oh yeah, Tower Gang's going extra base because they can't get banned anymore. So it's like,
right,
yeah,
there is no floor.
This is how after Putin got sanctioned, like why would he have a reason to back down? Like then he's just like, okay, fuck you, and he doubles down. It's kind of like that on Tower Gang. We're like, all right, fine, we're just gonna go full throttle. So
I think part of it too, if the reports are to be believed, Putin is going through. He has cancer. He's going through cancer treatment. So he's probably just being like, man, I got to go for it because he's doing the Breaking Bad Walter White thing, the Moscow version. He's just really going for it.
Yeah.
So who knows if that's even true? I mean, the media was telling us 4 years ago that Rocket Man was dead or was dying, and he emerged. He's looking better than ever. I think he did the Anna Nicole Smith diet or something, or he did Trim Spa, and he looks amazing. He did a Dennis Robbins basketball camp wearing high heels and a wedding dress, and it really worked for him. You know?
we thought Kim was going to be Kim Jong-un by now, but not true. So
yeah,
God, that's amazing.
It's all incredible, man. It's all competing mafias. This fucking green and blue marble that's spinning out in space is just it's just a few dozen competing mafias, and they got their intelligence wings, their communication wings, and their weapon wings, and we're all just friggin' ants on the hill running around. So hopefully we don't blow each other up, at the end, but we're all going along for the ride. It's like George Carlin said, man. When you're born in this world, you get a ticket to the ride. You get a seat. When you're born in America, you get a front row seat to the ride, the show. And he wasn't wrong about that. Yeah. People are still posting memes and clips of George Carlin talking about shit, and it's more relevant than ever. There's a great 2-part documentary called George Carlin's American Dream. If you can catch it, it's worth watching for sure.
Yeah.
Based. Reed's like, oh, he's everything.
I've been on based overload for the last couple weeks. It's been rough. So
it's hard to come back to planet Earth after all that.
So Reed, you're landing in New Hampshire next week.
This week, hopefully. I'm hopefully leaving on Friday. We'll see. But I'll be back sometime middle of next week. So
that's amazing.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, we'll be able to do some in-person Jack on Radio NatCap streams. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be high levels of agorism going on for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Involuntarism.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of libertarian, bordertarian, Hoppian, cringe lord too. So
yeah, there's going to be a dash of Spooner, Lysander, cringe lording base bordertarianism.
With a little bit of Rothbardian jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Well, also a little bit of meatcock in there. So.
Oh hell, dude! So much meatcock. It's gonna be levels that we didn't even believe imaginable.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's retarded.
Phil LeBont's like, I love Trump. He's the best.
Oh, he's the best.
I love him.
Meaning it's just it's so ridiculous and so retarded that it's just the best. It doesn't mean you're like a supporter necessarily. No. But you support the chaos.
Oh yeah, dude. Like if someone's the best, that doesn't mean you support them. It just means maximum chaos and hysteria is ensuing from whatever they're doing.
From his head.
Oh, dude, his head is undeniable.
Yeah, just like his mouth, Mike.
Yeah, the head crashes markets. It can make or break markets for sure.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And media cycles. I mean, it launched Megyn Kelly to fame and fortune, and she ultimately couldn't handle it. And now she's doing her own thing, which has some pretty good episodes, I have to say.
Yeah,
she's had on like RFK Jr. She had Tulsi on. Yeah,
she had Dave Smith on. I was like, wow.
Oh, I got to listen to that.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's going on with PorkFest, Reed? I understand you got a couple of speaking slots there.
Yeah, so I'm speaking at the Pavilion at 5:00 p.m. on Wednesday. I'll be doing a speech on the government's war on the working man. You know, they told most of us we weren't essential, and then the essential workers, they praised us as fucking superheroes. And then the following year, they told us, you need to stick this needle in your arm or you're fired and you're fucking worthless. But it goes back farther than this. Like, they've been making it hard to do anything and making it hard for small businesses to employ anyone, and, you know, making it easier for the big corporations, destroying the environment while they claim they're trying to save it. And they're bad. They're awful. So I'll be doing a speech about that on Wednesday. And then on Thursday at noon, I'm going to be doing another speech about why I'm coming back to New Hampshire. And, you know, I've been all over. I've been to all 50 states, lived in Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. And so I've got a little bit of, you know, experience going around the country, and ultimately decided to move back to the Granite State, and I'll be going over why. So anyone who's in New Hampshire wants to check that out, I could use the support. I'm trying to get at least 200 people to the one on Wednesday, because it's a kind of big building. So if there's only 30 people who show up, it'll be a little underwhelming. So if you can come out and support me, please do.
And that's in Lancaster, New Hampshire on Wednesday, June 22nd.
22nd.
22nd, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be posting about it, and yeah, we'll promote that and get that out there. Reed's going to talk about the New Hampshire advantage.
Because I'm a veteran.
Because Reed's a veteran. He was a SEAL.
Yeah.
He was in the movie Flipper. He was a SEAL.
If he's a seal, I'm a manatee. I'm a dolphin. I can identify as a dolphin if I want, because as a seal, I could be anything and make you believe it.
Yeah, that's going to be cool, man. Yeah, PorkFest. I'm hoping to get up there when you're there speaking on both, if not, you know, one of those days, if not both of them. There's going to be just a lot of baseboards coming and going at PorkFest.
Scott Horton and Dave Smith will be there, right? They're on the bill.
Wait, Scott Horton, he's the guy who wrote Enough Already. Time to End the War on
Terror. Yeah, and he's the executive director of the Libertarian Institute.
Yeah, and he owns antiwar.com.
And he's an editor and contributor at antiwar.com. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Scott Horton.
He's also the guy that shellacked that neocon William Crystalline debate in New York City last month. Just buried him.
Horton drank 10 gallons of Dr. Pepper and pissed it all over his face in front of everybody. He's like, yeah, how do you like that, Crystal, you neocon scum?
Crystal knew it too, and he knew he was still going to be able to go home and jump into a giant vat of blood that's completely made up of Iraqi children and get $1 million to do so. So he didn't care. He knew he was still going to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, it was great to see Jedi Knight Orton just lay waste to him.
Yeah,
he knew he would.
He's Liberty's Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know.
Yeah, instead of that bullshit series on Disney Plus, man, this camera crew should just follow Lord Horton around, man. It'd be way better.
Dude, he lays waste in neocons.
Yeah, he does. His skater Kens too that he wears.
Yeah. I think, you know, Ron Paul's Liberty's Yoda. I'm pretty sure Scott Horton's Obi-Wan. Dave Smith is Luke Skywalker. And I think that makes Dawson Han Solo, probably. So.
Yeah, because I smuggled baby formula. I smuggled baby formula and Palestinians in the Millennium Falcon.
Dude, like he's kind of out there, you know. He's not really in the Libertarian Party like the rest, but he's still an ally and shows up just in time to help us blow up the Death Star. You know, one of those guys.
Dude, that's everything.
Incredible.
I like that. Yeah, we got to get Dawson to wear the Han Solo outfit. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
If I can have a Ric Flair boa.
We just need Han Solo to have a bell in the cockpit. Ding, you know. So.
You guys are all right for fucking Yankees.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's everything.
I think that makes me Chewbacca because I'm kind of hairy, like especially when I got the beard out and everything. So
He could be Chewie.
yeah,
God, that's so good. Yeah, it's just so many fucking characters, man. It's
Yeah.
just so good that someone like Donald Trump's not in charge of law enforcement in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Dude, he's everything.
I know his head, Mike.
So there's another notch on the Clinton body count that's come out. Mark Middleton. Have you heard about that, Reed? Heard about Mark Middleton?
I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, so Mark Middleton was a basically like an aide to an advisor and an aide to Bill Clinton in the 90s, and he was the guy that brought Epstein into the White House. He introduced him to Clinton and had him in there several times. Just last month, he was found on a property hanging with some cheap cord from the dollar store with a big shotgun blast in his chest, and it was ruled a suicide. So that's been in the it's been in the, when I say in the news, I mean smaller kind of local affiliate type stuff. But I got to say the Daily Mail, they reported on it, and they I know the Daily Mail is a British rag, but they've done some important work on the Epstein case. So if people want to see the latest in the Clinton body count, definitely check out Mark Middleton and that story.
Yeah, it sounds pretty dark, Mike.
Hey guys, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Hello, Adegi. Yeah, Mark Middleton. That.
Yeah, let me read a little bit of the.
Read some. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, let me go here. The Daily Mail. The Daily Mail. They do some good stuff, man.
Well, Radar Online too has a story about it.
Yeah, they've been reporting on it. So, family of Bill Clinton advisor who admitted Jeffrey Epstein into White House 7 times has blocked release of files detailing the death scene after he was found hanging from a tree with a shotgun blast at a ranch 30 miles from his home. Mark Middleton died by suicide at the age of 59 on May 7th, according to the Perry County Sheriff's Office in Arkansas. And he was a special advisor who admitted Epstein to the White House 7 of the at least 17 times Epstein visited. So the family is basically trying to keep the content sealed, like photos of the scene and, which I can understand stuff like that. But of course, when you have anything like this, there's going to be questions. The proximity to the Clintons, is something that makes it, worthwhile to be looked into. So there's a lot of details about that they're still, looking to have come out. Let's see.
Yeah, it's just strange. I don't know.
So the Daily Mail's like, his death adds to the number of close associates of the former president and first lady who have died unexpectedly, many in small plane crashes. The phenomenon has led to a conspiracy theory called Clinton body count, which even has its own Wikipedia page.
I love when Norm Macdonald, I think he was on The View or somewhere, he's like, yeah, I thought that was common knowledge that the Hillary and Bill murder people.
Yeah, that was his first and only time on The View.
He's like, oh, that's not common knowledge.
Oh, I thought that was common knowledge. Yeah, everybody knows that.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. I think it was Barbara Walters looked like she was going to have a friggin'...
Oh, Baba Wawa.
She's going to have an Amber Heard on her seat. Yeah. I always just point back to the kids on the tracks, man. I mean, the coroner came out and said that they smoked so much marijuana that they passed out and they couldn't hear the train coming, which was coming at them at 50 miles an hour, and they didn't respond to it. And the train ran them over and killed them. They dug up the bodies at the inquest of the parents and found that the boys had been hit in the head and beaten with blunt instruments and stabbed and placed on the tracks. And so the initial coroner's report was overruled and it was turned into a homicide. And since that time, it's never been solved. But there's a lot of information there that points to, those boys witnessing a drug drop or seeing something they shouldn't see. And there was that wrestler who came out a couple years ago who said he was actually there and saw some shit that happened. Yeah. So
I wonder if that wrestler's still alive.
That's a good question. I'm not
a great guy to track down and try to interview and just ask him about what were the particulars of him being there that night. Why was he there? Who brought him in? Whose crew was he part of?
It sounds like he was hired as muscle. He was traveling all over the country wrestling.
Right,
and
right.
Nice that he had off. He doubled as like muscle for some entity.
See, that's the way a lot of this stuff works. These people who are the bagmen or are the muscle or the grunts or the killers, they don't know really who actually they're acting on behalf.
Oh, there's probably a middleman or a cutout that they deal with, and so the person that hires the cutout, is not going to be there on the scene doing the dirty work. They're gonna outsource that to someone else.
Right.
So,
it's fucking crazy. I don't know why that dude would lie about that. You know what I mean?
yeah, and this is wild too. Supposedly, the ranch where they found Mark Middleton's body was on acreage that was owned or at one point associated with the Clinton Foundation. That was connected to the Clintons at one point.
Let me read what it says here.
Some project, yeah.
It says investigators are still trying to determine why the hell-bent Middleton trespassed on the 1,200-acre grounds of the Heifer Ranch in Perryville, Arkansas, a farm run by Heifer International, whose headquarters is on the same parcel of land partially owned by the Clinton Presidential Center in Little Rock. Oh my God.
You can't even make that up, man.
Charles Ortel, a financial expert who has spent years probing the activities of the Clinton Foundation and the trail of dead bodies associated with the former president, believes Middleton's death on the Heifer property is designed to send a message. So if you're telling me this guy was found on a Heifer property, he was murdered. That's my bet, is what he tells us.
Wow.
Middleton was 59. He joins a growing pile of corpses associated with Epstein.
Right, you had Jean-Luc Brunel, and then you had the guy jump off the building there who at one point was one of the highest donors for the DNC. He was a Hollywood producer. God, I forget his name, but I guess, he was depressed or whatever, and his girlfriend had committed suicide a year prior, so he supposedly jumped off of like the 33rd floor of his building where he lived, and he was, when he was 18, 19 years old, he was given like something like $500 or $600 million from his grandfather who died, who was a real estate tycoon associated with luxury hotels and other really big projects kind of at the turn of the century. And he just spent a lot of that money on films, gave it away, drugs, prostitutes. He had fun. Sounds like a fun guy to party with. But he gave millions to the DNC too.
Yeah, this says Middleton, who ran a successful Little Rock air conditioning business and served as Clinton's presidential campaign finance director, also jetted on Epstein's private jet along with the president. So, he was part of the crew. And it said, 1 year after leaving the White House in 1995, Middleton became an international deal maker. And a subsequent investigation found he had abused his access to the White House to impress business clients. God.
Boy, that sounds about right, doesn't it, Reed? The two gangs, Republicans and Democrats, and I'm not part of either. I can't be bought unless I can't be bought unless it's with rubles.
I'm a veteran.
It just turns into like a baby Google Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, well, every saying we come up with degrades over time. Like it started out with "we need wall," and it's turned into what is it now?
Yeah, well, it started with "we need wall" to
think about it.
Yeah, you just kind of go full off the rails with it,
Yeah, it's true. So by the way, speaking of government inefficiency, I know we weren't right now, but we were earlier. But Vince and I went shooting right before we went to Texas, and Vince had it's not really showing up well, but he had a bullet in his pocket, made it right through TSA, and I had a not a travel size, but a full sized tube of toothpaste, and neither of those got taken from us. So you can see how Muhammad Atta got away with it,
Ronnie, you're doing a heck of a job at TSA. We're going to get another $1 trillion at TSA because they're stopping terrorists. It's fucking unbelievable, dude. Oh, I mean, you go through it. That's a 3-ring circus, the TSA. That's like getting patted down by, 100, what was his name in Grapes of Wrath or Mice of Men? Lenny?
Yeah, Lenny.
Lenny. Yeah, it's just like 100 Lennys patting you down with gloves, mouth breathers. That's where you end up. You end up as a fucking TSA monkey, you know?
Yeah, sure.
God. Well, that's comforting. You got a bullet through. That's good. I mean, all it took for Oswald was one bullet to kill Kennedy and wound Connolly 6 times. So that's good. It's amazing. Read what one bullet can do.
Especially if you're a veteran.
Because I'm a veteran. You're a veteran. We're all veterans. Yeah, he was with us all weekend, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he never leaves us alone. He's always
what airline
present.
What airline did you fly back from Texas to Utah?
I did United. I was trying to get 93 or 175, but they didn't have either available for some reason. So
yeah, my flight back was JetBlue, and it was good. I paid like $40 to upgrade to behind the emergency exit in an aisle seat. And I watched the House of Gucci movie with Adam Driver and Lady Gaga. It was actually a really good movie, very entertaining. One of the better movies I've watched in a while. And then I watched the first episode of a 3-part documentary about that rapper ghoul from Brooklyn, Takeshi 6ix9ine.
Yeah, Takashi. Yeah, he's a real ghoul.
I watched the new Matrix movie, and I had no idea what was going on the entire time.
So bad. Did you see the original trilogy? Or?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, those, to be fair, only one of them's good.
Reloaded, yeah. As far as the sequels go, Reloaded, the second one's probably the best.
I meant like the first one's the only good one, in my opinion. I think the rest of them are just trash. But
the original Matrix is a classic. It's one of the greatest sci-fi flicks of the '90s, no doubt. But yeah,
that's the thing. Like, there's really only one good not Transformer. Terminator
surprise.
Yeah, there's only one good Terminator movie, in my opinion. The second one. There's really only like 2 good Star Wars movies, and then there's only one good Matrix movie. Half the Indiana Jones movies are good. Like they get like a couple gems, and then they try to fucking mass produce it, and it's just like, no, stop. Like you were good with what you had, but they can't leave well enough alone. So
yeah, they got a new Indiana Jones one coming out next year.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Is he in a walker, like running away from the Nazis?
Yeah. Well, they CGI'd Harrison Ford's butt onto Chewbacca's face and doing a crossover. The fedora is actually, the whip. That's the whip. The fedora's on top. But they released a photo from that, and this is it. I mean, the last one, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, was so bad. Shia LaBeouf, and it was just embarrassing. I just felt embarrassed for everybody involved.
How embarrassing?
Everyone from the people in the theaters watching to the ushers who had to work at the theater, all the way up to the executives who made the movie. It's just an embarrassment.
Yeah, dude.
Everybody.
Pirates of the Caribbean 6 coming out. That's a little ridiculous.
We need Johnny. We need
Curse
Johnny.
Curse of the Brown Herd.
Yeah, John. Amber Heard.
Amber Shard.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, man. Like I'm happy that court case turned out the way that it did, because I don't know. There's abuse doesn't just go one way. Like it's such a lie. Like so many people were freaking out about this, and they were actually citing To Kill a Mockingbird as like saying that like. Because I saw this one fucking article that said like the Amber Heard decision is a statement to black women everywhere or something. It was like it's some retarded fucking take, but it's like if you read To Kill a Mockingbird, the innocent guy gets killed because the woman starts crying in the story, and then all the the jury's out after a woman starts shedding tears, and that's been so true. Like it's not a justice system if it's just based off of the emotions of a woman. Like this whole like Me Too thing, like, yeah, there has definitely been a lot of abuse toward women that's gone unseen, but the result of the Me Too thing has been #believe women. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you're not supposed to believe anything until you've had evidence. Like that's how innocent until proven guilty works. So I think the Me Too thing was probably well-intended when it started, because it was trying to bring awareness about women who have been abused in Hollywood or anywhere else, and it's just been ignored. But as with everything, the left doesn't know when to fucking stop, and they just bring it to this crazy opposite end where it's, the woman is always right. I mean, it's just retarded. So I'm glad this went the other way, because hopefully it's a little bit of pushback against that insane woke culture, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it was kind of a draw in a lot of ways. I think there was 2 different lawsuits, and Amber won one of them, but Johnny won the one that was like the major bucks on the line, and it's his reputation. I mean, he's got to be able to spend 30-40 grand a month online. He should be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole Hollywood thing is just a complete freak circus, and we're all guilty of paying it too much attention and energy, and but the real problem is that some people, they give it all their energy and attention, and they don't look at anything else. Like they don't
like the mega group. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I like the memes that are like, the Johnny Depp trial is just being broadcast everywhere, but no one has any idea that the Ghislaine Maxwell follow-up is coming up. So that, that's intentional, that's deliberate, that's done by design. And Elon Muskrat there was tweeting about the DOJ not releasing the client list. What do you guys make of Elon Musk lately with Twitter? Because I don't use Twitter. So Eric was saying that, Eric, you've kind of seen an uptick in more based and more open dialogue. But what do you guys think of the whole Elon Musk deal?
Well, as far as Epstein goes, I really don't know about his connections. Like, I know Maria Farmer doesn't like him. I know Dawson thinks he's kind of based, so I don't really know. I don't have an informed opinion on that. But I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, I thought he was taking this shit over. And, it's irrelevant whether or not he's a good guy, in my opinion. Like, it can't get too much worse than it already is. So, in my mind, this was just a positive change because it's a change. Like, I know, like, Abby Martin was freaking out because a billionaire bought a free speech platform, but it's like, it wasn't a free speech platform. It's already run by a fucking corporation. It's already run by the government, basically. The government's bullied Twitter into, censoring anything it doesn't like. So, like, who fucking cares? So to me, it's just a change of hands. So maybe he'd be better, but I don't see how he could get much worse and keep the thing going because, this is the weird thing about the wokeism. The wokeism only stays afloat because of, ESG scores and, woke corporations like BlackRock buying stocks if they adopt a woke agenda or whatever. Like, the people who use the platform don't like any of this. Like, all the shit you're seeing pushed by, like, the football teams, like, football is gay, football is queer, whatever, and like the U.S. Marine Corps saying it's accepting of, the rainbow, the rainbow bullets or whatever. Like, no one in the military likes that. No one who uses Twitter likes all the bullshit that's being pushed on them. So it's just, there's a fine line the people who are pushing all this shit have to walk. Because if they go too far, they end up like Netflix, where they got to say, "Okay, fuck that. We're pulling that. We're pulling that. We're getting rid of that."
It ends up bottoming out, no pun intended. But
yeah,
I really like what Senator Mike Gravel said. Man, he was in the Army and military intelligence, and he's just like, "You don't have to be straight to shoot straight." That sums it up. He wasn't concerned what the sexual orientation of the person was. Next to him when he was.
He was concerned that there was shooting going on in the first place.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So obviously there shouldn't be any kind of discrimination against anybody, but it's just gone so far in the other direction that it's just cartoonish. It's just so cartoonish. Do the Arab countries, Eric, that didn't strike or woke their
like Mercedes, Saudi Arabia, instead of having a rainbow flag, it's a little bit of red, but that's the blood left from Khashoggi's severed head thrown on the hood of the car. Kind of
holy shit,
bleeding down a little bit. So that's where that red comes from.
I remember last year, I couldn't believe they did this, but it was some fucking company in the Middle East. Or no, it was some. No, I guess they weren't in the Middle East, but it was just some fucking woke company that had a picture of someone on top of a building throwing a gay flag off the building, and it said like throwing inclusion and love to the person, the story below you or whatever. But it was like, What are you doing? You showed a picture of somebody throwing a gay flag off a building top. Like, oh man, a little bit of lack of awareness on that one.
It was cringe, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was cringe.
With Twitter, Mike, yeah, I've just noticed an overall less repressive feeling, and I think that maybe they're figuring they're doing an audit of all the bots, aren't they? Reed, like, isn't that something that's been going on? Like, Musk and company wants to figure out who the bots are and show what people's actual followings are.
Yeah, because he's
I've heard
yank the whole deal over that.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's threatening to yank the whole, like, to cancel the whole deal if they don't disclose the bots.
Look,
I think most of my supporters, look, fat. Most of my supporters are good corn bots. Okay, corn bots. Look,
the day that Emmerich is reinstored, the King and Ryan Dawson are back on Twitter, I will love Elon Musk. I will stand Elon Musk if those three things happen.
Yeah, and Scott Ritter. We need Scott Ritter back.
Give me Emmerich or give me death if it were to.
The thing with Musk and Epstein, like, there's two things there. There's a photo of Musk with Ghislaine Maxwell from like a Vanity Fair, or like a variety party, and according to Musk, she kind of photobombed him, which I believe that. But there's also an email that was leaked from Jeffrey Epstein to Musk talking about meeting up with Ghislaine for karate lessons. So, that was, he hasn't denied that was a real email. So I don't know. And, Jason Burmis has done some really great research on Elon Musk. He always has great information about all the shit that's going on in the Ukraine that Musk is involved in. He's basically just a government contractor for weapons and defense and all that, SpaceX and NASA bullshit. He's a front man for all that. I don't look at him like Tony Stark or like he's this great friggin' benevolent, folk hero who's going to save us and give us back our free speech. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. Like, do I love seeing him troll?
He's not as good as this guy, right?
No, of course not. No. Look at him. He's got the They Live glasses on.
Ron Paul.
That's my only regret from the weekend is we didn't have a Ron Paul chant.
Well, we're going to be able to redeem ourselves in September, I think, Reed.
And we're going to have to start it with Paul, because every self-respecting Ron Paul chant starts with Paul, right?
Starts with Paul first, correct.
Yeah.
It does. And then eventually it evens out and nature heals itself, and it's a full-fledged Ron Paul chant.
Yeah.
God. Just reading something base that Tulsi just posted on Locals. It's a image of the World War II guys storming the beaches of Normandy, and it says, "Today we honor the brave men in uniform who stormed the beaches of Normandy to help liberate Nazi occupation of Europe. But today our leaders in the media push for Germans' remilitarization and glorify/arm Ukrainian white supremacists /Nazis (parentheses Azov) foolish and short-sighted." End. That's
based. I guess you should put that on Twitter too.
It'll probably hit all her socials. But yeah, I just got the notification for that for Aloha Locals. Aloha Techie. That's based. I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's pretty based. I like it.
That's just a Putin talking point. That's just Russian disinfo. There are no Nazis in Ukraine, and there is no Azov battalion. It's totally made up. And who was it, Senator Paul, that was profiting in the Donbass?
Well, we know now who it is because of certain testimony that's come over here through gain of function research that we did over there with the labs and all the spike proteins. And these were people who had been back in the 80s with Harrison Ford on the set of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now they have Stinger missiles that they're selling on eBay, unfortunately. And I think it's wrong.
Reed's like, oh, he's retarded.
And what's kind of been dominating is, what is a woman? The whole Matt Walsh phenomenon.
Dude, I want to have Matt Walsh on the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, that would be a fun show.
That'd be nuclear level.
Like,
so I honestly, he's a response to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Reed.
Matt Walsh is one of those guys that's like so authoritarian and theocratic that he ends up being libertarian. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like, he's such a fucking tyrant that he doesn't want that he like wants to secede from the union and just be in his own hegemony and not fuck with anyone else. Like, he went so authoritarian, he became libertarian. That's kind of how I describe him in some ways. Like, I mean, I'm sure he's a China hawk and tons of horrible shit. I don't know, but I've just like some of the social shit I've seen him say. It's like, all right, like as long as you're not pushing that on me, I don't care. You know, like he's an interesting fellow.
It's his grift right now. You know, the tranny thing is his grift, and good for him. You know, Caitlin's like, we got to defend all women. So bye.
Dude, we got to get her. I mean, the sky's the limit with this show. I'm telling you, like, there's limitless opportunities. So
we could do anything. We could all
We could all be
become trans. We could become trans.
Imagine Caitlin, dude. That'd be
awesome. That'd be awesome.
Dude, I think we can do it. I'm not even kidding. Like we've already. I mean, look at what we've done in 14 months.
We've had on some pretty big guests, man, and it's only gonna.
The trend is only going to continue.
We've only just begun, is what Karen Carpenter said, and then she puked everywhere and she died.
Has there been an official announcement of the next Four Horsemen? Or you guys teased it, or what's?
I think it's already June, so we can say it. It's D-Day, in fact, today. So happy D-Day, everyone! But Maria Farmer she's gonna break the seal and be the first woman on the Four Horsemen. So
it's gonna be high levels of based.
Yeah, but we can't do the 4 horse people because then people are going to envision like equestrian Homo sapien hybrids, and that's not really what we're going for. Like
chimera hybrids.
It'll still be the 4 horsemen with a woman. So
special guest Maria Farmer, Shauna Atwood here.
With Maria's based. She's based.
She is.
Dude, yeah, we're gonna go full based on the mega group. So
is that this weekend, or is that what's the date on that?
I think it's next 2 weeks. It's the 19th. So.
Yeah, Sunday, June 19th. Juneteenth, and we're gonna have Mr. Ryan Dawson Skyping in a Hamas tunnel in an undisclosed location.
He could tell us how the Civil War didn't end slavery on Juneteenth, so it'll be a good day. But
Boston didn't end it till like 1981.
Yeah. They still have slaves in California.
There's pockets in Maine where you can still buy chihuahuas as slaves.
They made slavery great again in Libya.
But they don't talk about that.
It's interesting hearing the perspectives from, so obviously the three of us grew up here in the Northeast. I started off going to school in Massachusetts till I was 10 and then moved to New Hampshire and did the rest of my public education, 4th grade through 12th in New Hampshire in a public school setting. And, we were taught the Civil War, but you're taught, a certain perspective on it. And anytime I've ever gone to the Carolinas or down in the South, like there's always people who just bring the Civil War up, like pretty much immediately, like before they even ask you what your name is. Like, the South won, the South was right, all this. And the Civil War has never really been an area that I've really spent a significant amount of time delving into. So I don't, I have the narrative that I was taught growing up, like any narrative you're taught. So, but I don't get worked up over it. I don't know, man. I know it's kind of Ryan's, it's kind of his bag, but I don't know.
I look at it this way, like, think of how incorrect the narrative surrounding Syria is, like to the normie. Think of how incorrect the narrative surrounding Ukraine is. I'd say the one surrounding Iraq has actually kind of corrected itself a little bit, like at least from the way it was 20 years ago. Like I think most people at this point realize, okay, we lied to get into Iraq. But dude, most people don't know about the Gulf of Tonkin and Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Like that was completely fucking made up, and that's admitted at this point.
It didn't happen. It never happened.
It never happened, and that's what got us into Vietnam. No one, like I'd say maybe like 3% of people know that. It's very, very low. So if we're still so, confused about why we're in Vietnam and actually believe for wrong reasons, like that there was an attack or whatever when there never was, a lot of, I've heard like really high numbers of people still think Saddam Hussein was connected to 9/11 somehow. Lots of people, have incorrect views about World War II and how that started. Like a lot of people don't even know that we declared war on Japan and then Germany declared war on us. They think we entered World War II to stop the Holocaust or something. It's like, that's not why we even got into the war. It was over Japan, which we knew was going to attack us, and let them attack us, let them destroy our battleships instead of. So basically, all I'm saying is like, if all these narratives are complete bullshit, like why would the one about the Civil War be right either? And I mean, it's a war, so like, I don't think, I'm not quite as biased as Ryan is, so like, I don't think the South was as just in its cause as he does, but I certainly don't think the North. And by the way, Ryan knows a lot more than me, so I'm like, I couldn't go toe to toe with them. I just think, in a war, there really isn't a good side. Like, they're all, I mean, like 2% of Southerners or something like that owned slaves, and it was a lot of cotton plantation owners. And I'm sure that the Southern cause for the war was fueled by plantation owners and stuff like that. So I don't think it was just a war against Northern aggression. But the narrative surrounding the Civil War, that it was that the North went and defeated the South to free slaves, like, that is like completely wrong. I mean,
right? Yeah, that's not the whole story. Yeah, that's a thing we tell ourselves to feel good, especially up here in the Northeast. And
then I mean, also, it's not even.
We would return slaves back to their owners who made their way up here to New England.
Well, the Emancipation Proclamation, it didn't free any slaves in the North. It was only in the South, right? So if you'd think if the war was about ending slavery, you'd end slavery in the states you already control first.
Right, across the board.
Yeah, you freed them in the South so that they could come fight for the North or whatever. Like, so it's just like with everything. I mean, governments don't care about their people. They don't really fight wars for freedom or for ideas. Like, they fight them for fucking money. That's what every government fights a war for. So
money and power.
Yeah, exactly. Fight Colin and say, Reed, that's what government does. It sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks.
I think Reed Coverdale's our guy. Get him out of the truck and into the White House. He's our guy.
Larry Sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. And I don't know. I guess I've just, since 9/11 happened, I've just been completely focused on the war on terror, 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan, everything that we've done in the Middle East. That I've neglected that part of history. I'll be honest. I mean, you can't know everything. God, it's like,
yeah.
But
no, same, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to have a discussion with Ryan sometime about his view on it, and maybe get an expert who has a different view and do some kind of panel or something. Because obviously, what we were taught in school was not the complete.
You're talking about some kind of Yankee Dixie throwdown.
Some kind of Mason-Dixon spirited, fueled by bourbon and antebellum, and
bring on any Yankee, I'll debate him, I'll beat him.
Well, exactly. I got this to say, regardless of like why we seceded or why the South seceded during the Civil War, New Hampshire is going to be the first state to just secede from the Union now. Like, if we, dude, think about that. If New Hampshire beats the South at secession, like we'd be like, okay, Dawson, come on, you got to move up here. Like,
Adam just makes a good point. If Twitter had existed in 1979, the same people who support Ukraine would have supported the Mujahideen against the Soviets.
Absolutely.
Very, very good point, Adam. It's true. Yeah, and that was the Mujahideen, and that was called Operation Cyclone, where the CIA trained and funded them and got them through Charlie Wilson and all that grift, and got them, billions of dollars, and the shoulder rockets, which was a game changer in that fight, and they were able to shoot down Soviet helicopters and planes and shit over there.
Victor Brzezinski drove all the Toyota trucks over there. They got all the frames recalled. They got them over there. They got Bin Laden in one of those Toyotas. The original Toyota commercial for President's Day, Osama Bin Laden stars in the commercial, telling it to come to people. Google it, folks. It's all there. Yeah, it's amazing to see that. And then dude, the footage and the photo of the Mujahideen in the White House at Reagan. I mean,
it's incredible. Yeah, no, it's an ad of Bin Laden all Chad with his shirt off, like kind of like a Saudi Mujahideen Rambo, and on the back of the Toyota is a Reagan Bush 84 sticker.
Dude, it's so good. and then the confrontation that Ray McGovern had with Rumsfeld, and Rumsfeld brought up Iraq and Iran fighting each other in the 80s. It's like, yeah, dude, you're one of the guys that freaking armed Iraq. There's the photo of him shaking hands with Saddam Hussein, and it's amazing. But Yeah, that was under Carter, man. Jimmy Carter's national security guy, Zbigniew Brzezinski, played a huge role in that. And,
right.
He even says as much in his book, The Grand Chessboard, which, who's going to read that, man? You're going to use that as your freaking doorstop in your college dorm. You're not going to read that.
Right.
But Top Gun, Top Gun was great.
Go see Top Gun.
Go see Top Gun. That's the point of all this.
Yeah, this whole thing.
Scientology needs more money. What's that?
Tulsi posted it on Twitter. The D-Day thing is pretty based, dude.
Are you gonna? Is the Naturalist Capitalist gonna retweet it?
Oh, it's already been retweeted. Okay. I'm gonna maybe retweet mine from a few months ago, where I said, "Imagine explaining to somebody on D-Day that World War III almost gets started when we protect a bunch of Nazis from the Russians."
Dude,
Mike, come on.
I'm gonna try to find it.
Eric, when you went on our buddy Yuri's podcast, he's from Ukraine. What did you guys touch on? Like, did you tell him, like, so does he really think that there's no, like, the Nazi thing is totally downplayed in Ukraine and, like, there's none of them, or that it's just, they just Photoshop shit? Like, what does he think?
Well, he acknowledges, that there are far-right figures and fascists and Nazis in Ukraine, but he said, every country has that. And I said, well, yeah, countries have that problem. There are neo-Nazis in countries and far-right fascist type people. But, he made the point, the only reason I know about it or would know about Stepan Bandera is because Russian propaganda, because the Russians want me to know about it. You know what I mean? I otherwise wouldn't know about it. But I said, well, I've done, I said, of course, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on it, but I said I pay attention more than a lot of Americans do and a lot of people. And, obviously Oliver Stone has done a lot of great work about Ukraine. And of course, Dawson is one of the gold standards of research about that part of the world and what's really going on. So I just mentioned some of that stuff to him, and it seemed like he didn't know a lot of it. He didn't know a lot about it or didn't really know what I was talking about and couldn't grasp the fact that an American would openly talk about our intelligence agencies fucking with that part of the world, starting with the end of World War II, when, our intelligence agencies propped up and armed and trained and engaged in subterfuge and sabotage and covert activities against the Soviet Union. And Ukraine was a vessel for that and was a buffer and a proxy to do that. And I said, you've now had that network in place for almost 80 years, and it's coming to a head now. It's coming to a head over there, and that,
right.
That's the perspective. And I argued the libertarian perspective that we shouldn't be fucking with that part of the world and having bases all around Russia and then NATO and. I said, for a Ukrainian audience, there are Americans we are against this. We don't want to send you $40 billion. And I kind of tried to tell them it's a money laundering operation for the arms industry in the United States. It's kind of like how I tried to break it down. But
yeah.
I don't know.
It's an emotional thing for a lot of people.
Of course, yeah,
obviously, it's horrible. I mean,
yeah, I feel bad. His family, he's from Ukraine. His family's there. His friends are there. He's not there right now. He's a refugee and he's living in Norway right now. They gave him asylum in Norway, and they're helping him out. But, I just said this just didn't happen in a vacuum. Putin didn't just one day invade Ukraine and bomb Ukraine and do this. There's a lot historically you can look to, and then the most recent, obviously, starting in 2014 with what happened over there.
All right, so here's the one I found. It's a picture. Oh, sorry. It's a picture of Eisenhower with the paratroopers before they jump. And it says, here's the deal, guys. I know the Russians suck, but we need to ally with them at all costs to defeat the Nazis so that in 80 years we can arm them to defeat the Russians.
Come on, Mike. That's pretty good, man. God,
so I just retweeted it and said relevant #D-Day. So
nice.
Beautiful. People who hold on to their narratives in their team baseball do not like being called out on that bullshit. They do not like that being pointed out to them because it shatters their closely held, cherished myths.
I just typed in Reed Coverdale Nazis, and there's a lot of tweets about Ukraine. I'm never going to be one of these people. Like, if you type in Reed Coverdale Yemen, Reed Coverdale Palestine, I haven't done enough on Somalia because I don't know enough about it. But I've how people when someone's talking about free speech, they go to their profile and like look up Assange and see if they've ever said anything about him. Like I've got my bases covered with most of the interventions. So
Yeah, but there's still a lot to go, and there's going to be even more that haven't happened yet that will happen.
oh fuck yeah.
I like the saying, I'm already against the next war, so I'm
Because I'm a veteran.
Because I'm a veteran.
I adhere to the principles of our Lord and Savior, 2-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner Smedley Butler.
I was waterboarded with Faygo. Okay, it was bad. I'm against. I don't want anybody to be waterboarded with cherry flavored Faygo.
What, did he get waterboarded by a bunch of juggalos?
Yeah.
I'm a veteran.
I'm a veteran.
I'm a veteran.
That just negates the other side's argument completely, right? Like they're just.
Yeah, well, have you served? Did you serve?
Well, no, I haven't, Governor.
Okay, well, then don't talk about it. You can't talk about it.
Why?
Because I'm a
Because
veteran.
I'm a veteran. That should be a good drinking game.
Oh, God. Yeah. Every time Jackman says I'm a veteran or Infowars.com, we drink.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty damn good, man. Well, yeah, that's pretty much what I got, Mike. I think we covered. I don't really know what else to say about Azov except fucking dude.
Well,
Support
I'm
Azov.
excited. Yeah, and I'm excited to see Paul McCartney wave the Ukrainian flag at Fenway on Wednesday. I'm not going to lie. Very excited for that.
It's going to be everything.
It's going to be good.
We're gonna send the proceeds of 8 shells a week to Zelensky. You know,
Yeah. He's going to play Paul McCartney in the biopic.
I'm a Zelensky stan. Put a bullet in Putin brain. We got to be with Prime Time soon. I miss him,
I know.
dude. He's
Him
trending.
outside
Right
of the
now.
gay club, dude. At the club,
Yeah.
he was.
I want to do like a YMCA spoof where we all dress as the Village People and do some kind of dance with him. You
I
know,
lost my audio. I'm trying to figure it out.
Reed's like, oh, is everything?
Looks like we got a couple questions. Last time Top Gun was popular, what war was being pushed? Well, that was 1986, the year I was born, actually. So it's probably like the Iran-Contra era or something.
Yeah, so
I was just
Soviet.
about to say Soviet. Yeah, we were his anti-Russian sentiments, and even though Ridley Scott didn't specifically say the enemies were, Soviet Union, you could probably ascertain that it was, there's a red under your bed. That was the popular sentiment at the time when Reagan was president. And then another question: which Paul will it be? Some people believe Bio Paul, aka biological Paul, passed away in 65 or 66, and was replaced by William Shepard, aka Billy Shears. And there's probably a couple of different actors have inhabited the role. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Daniel Day-Lewis is Paul McCartney at this point. He hasn't made a movie in a few years, so he played Lincoln, so why not Paul McCartney?
Stinking Lincoln.
Fuck Lincoln with a railroad spike.
He's like, fuck Lincoln.
Take his top hat.
He's got particular umbrage, Mike, and animus towards Abe Lincoln.
He does. Yeah.
Every time I see a $5 bill, I burn it. He's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, so
He
we
is
got Paul
everything.
McCartney. We got Paul McCartney on Wednesday, and then in just over a month, we're going to see Brian Wilson, the co-founder of the Beach Boys, with Al Jardine, another original Beach Boy. That's going to be fun.
Ron.
And then Ron Paul's opening for Ron Paul McCartney is opening.
Ron Paul McCartney. Well,
You guys got to get the good doctor on Jackman Radio now.
Yeah.
Just give Dan McBase a call and say, hey, you got to have him on too. I want to see that too. But
yeah, I would love to have both of them on. Eric, I think this one's for you from the analytical failure. You want to take this one?
Can we hear how Caitlyn Jenner would solve Ukraine? Well, first of all, I would put a call into Zelensky and say, honey, you got to do something about those high heels you're dancing around in because those are the wrong ones. You're wearing Pradas, babe. You got to wear Gucci. I'm all about the Gucci. Zelensky Gucci Jenner. It's going to be a new brand coming. It's going to be coming out this fall, and it's going to include grenades in the heels, and you can kick it right at the Russians and go, surprise!
I thought you were going to have something about running over all the Russians with your Suburban or whatever. But
we could do that too. We could send over. So we could work with Tesla and have them send over some Tesla trucks and run right over those Reds.
Amazing. Thank you for that super chat.
Yeah, he liked it. He or she, they or them, or it or z or them liked it. So that's good. That's definitely good. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all I got, Mike. I don't know what else.
I mean,
Beyond Liberty Read, I don't really know what else there is.
Yeah, does he do Liberty full time?
At this point, Reed Cooley is doing Liberty full time.
Yeah, Reed Cooley, he's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, he became my world like in the span of like 18 minutes upon meeting him and Reed being like, yeah, he's the other Reed. I've had him on my show.
Yeah,
I felt his vibe, Mike, and he was kind of there's some John Edwards RFK Jr. going on. Very boyish. Very boyish.
Yeah. There's something about those Reeds in the Liberty movement,
Yeah.
And it's also his middle name. I don't even know what his first name is, but both...
Reed Edwards Cooley is what we're going to call him.
John Reed Edwards Cooley. Yeah.
Yeah, because Reed Coverdale is a nom de guerre. It's not your actual Christian name, is it?
It's true. It's Scott.
Actually, Reed. I think John Edwards' middle name really is Reed.
I think so too.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, but it's spelled R-E-I-D.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good.
But it is Reed. God, that's funny.
I didn't know when I had the affair with Rael that my wife had cancer. So
Oh, that is not. There we go.
What's that?
So I think you should be S. Reed Coverdale, just short.
Yeah, I should.
That'd be a real kind of.
Well, my sister used to go by her middle name, and she just got rid of her first name like a couple months ago, and I'm like, not a bad idea.
Do you have two sisters in the military, Reed, or just one? You have one sister and she's in the military?
I got two sisters, but only one in the military.
Okay, one's in the military. Okay. How was that Thanksgiving? What's Thanksgiving like when,
What's that?
I said, how was Thanksgiving at the Coverdale house?
Oh, it's always interesting. Last time I got into an argument about cultural appropriation with my older woke sister, and I asked her, "Do you have any Native American friends?" And she said no, and I'm like, "Well, I do. I'll ask him what he thinks about cultural appropriation." So we all know who that is. So
yeah, I thought of a good nickname for him on the flight back: Chief Sitting Based.
Chief Sitting Based. That's good.
I think he'd like that.
Oh yeah, he'd be like, "That's Chad."
He's got a good sense of humor. Yeah,
it's Chad. Surprise!
It was fun hanging out. It's so much fun hanging out with him. And it's cool, like you could tell that he does not let a lot of people into his inner circle. Like you've got to earn his trust, and we have. Like we've never turned our backs on him, and so many people like they use him for clout, and then they'll just ditch him to the curb. And we don't do that because, Ryan or Eric and you have been watching him for 20 years. I've been watching him for like 6 years now, and I don't know. He's got good info, and I'm proud to be his friend. Like, he goes a little off the rails sometimes, but we all do. We all got our defects, and he's like, for any reason someone wouldn't want to associate with him, there's so many more reasons to support him, in my opinion. So I'm happy to be his friend and stand with him all the time. So
yeah, Dawson is true of heart, man.
Yeah,
he really is. He really is.
Yeah. No, I believe his heart's in the right place, and he's not a hateful person, regardless of all the bullshit that gets put out there about him. I don't agree with everything he says. I certainly wouldn't, cover some of the topics he does because A, I don't know as much as he does, and B, it's just why even go there with some of those topics But it's his right to do that, and I support freedom of speech for everybody, and I also support freedom of association. And just because you associate with somebody or you've done a podcast with them or you know them doesn't mean that you agree with everything they say or how they, what they do. But that's America, baby. And we're losing that. People want to punish you.
Yeah, that's the standard where if your friend does something at a party, you're responsible for what they did.
Yeah,
it's on you. It's on you. Yeah, no, man. You look at any of the research he's done. That new Mech documentary was just so well researched and so deep and goes into things, man. You literally no one else is making these connections and putting them all together and then presenting them in an hour 20 format where you watch it a couple times, you got to take notes and write down, and you start going into these names and these groups and these organizations and all the dots he connects, and it's just like, oh my God.
And Yeah, it is well done. I mean, this was a room full of guys, mostly guys who had just sat through an entire conference that went like 4 hours or something. And most of us were running on like a couple hours of sleep. And it was an hour, 20-minute film. Nobody fell asleep. Like everyone was awake the entire time. And like, whoa. I mean, it was, and he's just done a ton of work on it since he first screened it to me back in March. Like, lots of great animations. There's really high production quality, so it's very good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I mean the information he has in his War by Deception and his 9/11 stuff. I mean, yeah, I've spent time pausing it and going through it and looking at it, and it's all there, man. Although they really have tried to memory hole a lot of stuff, a lot of accurate stuff that was reported, and it's underreported stuff that's never been debunked or retracted. And he's just able to stitch it together into a completely different narrative than what we've been told. And it's some of the most important work on our foreign policy, on 9/11, on Israel-Palestine that's out there. So it should absolutely be supported, 100%.
All really good stuff. Well, we just hit the 2-hour mark, Mike. You think we want to wrap this?
Yeah, I hit all the topics, that I wanted to cover. Did you have anything you wanted to plug or add, Reed, or tell our audience what they can expect from you? Although I think you said...
Speaking of PorkFest.
Yeah.
I'm doing a show tomorrow with Joe Evans, who's running for Congress in Idaho. And then after that, it's probably going to be a little while. Well, actually, I'm going to meet up with our mutual friend Dak Rouleau in Iowa on my way back, hopefully on like Sunday. So we might do a live stream when we're together because he's due to come on my show for the month. And then the Four Horsemen on the 19th. And then the speeches at PorkFest. And then I believe I'm going to be going to Freedom Fest in July in Las Vegas. So, subscribe to the channel. I'm the only Reed Coverdale, the only naturalist capitalist. Buy my merchandise at toplobster.com. I'm looking forward to seeing you boys. It's not too long away now. I just saw Eric, but I'll see both of you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's not going to just be us meeting up at conferences now. We're going to be basically be neighbors. We're
going to do Liberty full time. So
we're moving towards doing Liberty on like a full time permanent basis, Mike. And speaking of that, I put the link here. Patreon.com/Jackman Radio. We haven't had any issues with Patreon. Everyone's always like, it's going to get nuked. You're going to get nuked. We've been fine with it. We haven't had any issues, and we're just asking people $5 a month, $10 a month. Go on there if you like what we do. You can also hit me up on Venmo. I use Venmo, and I'll put that in here too. And Mike, what were you talking about? A cup of coffee earlier?
Yeah, buy me a cup of coffee. I'm looking into getting us on there. I know Jason Bermas has an account with them, and you can, if you like a particular video or a project or the channel, you can throw $5, $10, $15 at it, and they take 5%. So it's pretty good, and they don't doesn't sound like there's any censorship issues, and Jason uses it. So I'm looking into adding that as well. And like I said earlier in the stream, we're looking at a potential studio space that we want to get going on. So every bit helps, man, to keep the operation afloat.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And I'm looking forward to that, and we'll check that out when Reed gets back into town. Well, awesome, Reed. I'm glad you made it back from Texas, dude. What a trip that was, man. Thanks for putting that together. And we're a family, and it's just the adventure into autism has only really just begun.
It really has.
It's the best.
It's the best. We're gonna have Gay White Boy Summer, dude. Gay Boy Summer with Phil Labonte from All That Remains. Like Gay Liberty. He's like, he's everything.
He's like, he's retarded. Not him, just
Yeah, that's a Reedism
saying in general. But yeah.
All right, folks. Yeah, thanks for tuning in to Jackman Radio. It's good to be back for a live stream. All of you who watched and super chatted and your comments. I go back and I do read them. Everyone reads the comments. Anyone who says that they don't read the comments is a liar. They're dirty, rotten liar. They're dirty, rotten traitor like Bo Bergdahl, and they will be executed, okay?
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. And we got some more shows coming up and some great guests, as always. And, keep the faith.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
Liberty.
Freedom and liberty forever, and peace is popular, and it's still popular with the young people. All right. We'll see you next time.